Good morning. It is 8:13 at AM 1230 KWNO. I'm Paul Lundquist. This is hour 3 of Wake Up Winona. And we're talking about the Heartland Preservation Society this morning. As we were talking a little bit about a truck raffle. We're going to be talking about their website at Heartland Preservation Society. Mike Burke joining me here this morning. Mike, how are you?
I'm great, Paul. Thanks for having me down here.
Yeah, thanks for coming and talking with us. So let's talk a little bit, first of all, about the Heartland Preservation Society and kind of what your mission is.
Well, our mission, Paul, is to provide community support to rural and small town America. We want to build on the building blocks of small town America: faith, hard work, pride. In Lewiston and the Altura area, southeast Minnesota in general, has all those components. And we just want to focus on something that's positive, Paul. Now with days with the media and different things, there's a lot of negativity going on. I mean, I'm still waiting for the circus to call and take our 2 clowns back.
Right, yeah.
Well, and I've listened to your show, Paul, and I get such a charge out of your political views. So
there's one person there. Yeah.
I do. I thoroughly appreciate how you can kind of you stay somewhat in the middle. We're becoming so polarized now.
Yeah.
And I with our nonprofit, what we're trying to do is just build on something positive. And what we started on was with education. It's the restoration of ISD 38, which is the one-room schoolhouse 2 miles southeast of Lewiston. So we tried to pick a topic that was just positive and work off of that. We just think that's important. We have a great board in Lewiston. There's John Nenow, a local historian, great guy. Phil Kalmas has the hardware, another tremendous individual. Fran Bogdanauer, sweet old lady. Toby Brummer, who you met, and who I'm bringing you a hat for us pumpkin-sized head guys.
Yeah, he told me that he could get me a hat.
I got you a hat, Paul.
All right, we'll see.
Hopefully it fits.
Yeah.
The guys at XL, we've met so many great sponsors. And XL, Jack and John, the Gunnarsons over there, great people.
I think we're going to call this a fit.
And it looks really good on you, Paul. It really does.
Thank you.
Highlights the eyes and everything. So,
so one of the things I really like about the kind of the Heartland Preservation Society is not only are you trying to highlight, you're talking about the good things that go on in our small town communities, and I mean maybe that's kind of the root of what we need more of, but also the history of, because so much of this is lost.
There's such a history around here,
yeah.
Paul. And what we're trying to build on is with our kids. I mean, I have kids. I think you have.
Yep. I got a 9-month-old, almost 10-month-old now.
Okay, so you're in the beginning phase of this, but there's more than just cell phones. There's more. There's a whole history that these kids need to understand from their parents, their grandparents, and this is where the schoolhouse restoration. We're so excited about it, Paul. We want to have it so that we can restore it and we can have reenactments there, and I want to have it, Paul, so that you can call me and say, "Hey, Mike, I need a key to get in that schoolhouse because I want to show my kids or your kids," and you can come in and get that experience. Nowadays, Paul, with all the internet and everything else, all our information is derived from there. But I can remember when I was a kid, I would go to my grandparents and I would listen to their stories about immigrating from Luxembourg or from Ireland. And I can remember what got me interested in history is my grandma would tell about the assassination of John F. Kennedy and where she was. And she would cry when she was telling the story. And I look at it now, and she was so passionate. I mean, if something happened to, like, say, the 2 clowns we got now, I mean, there should be a ticker tape parade, and the real guys should come out. So, you know what I'm saying, Paul?
Yeah. Well, and I've been lucky enough that I've been involved in a couple different projects, but kind of, not necessarily the same thing, but to kind of preserve history. In the small town that I grew up, it is a town of 700 people. When I was actually in high school 1,000 years ago, we did this project we interviewed a lot of the elder people around the neighborhood and did video recordings of them talking about their life and what they were doing there. And, I mean, that's something, I had no idea what happened to that, but it was just getting some kind of recorded history for some of those things. Like you were saying, that maybe it was just like oral history.
That's what we're doing right now. If you go to our website, you'll see video blogs. We do a lot of video work, Paul, and we can't save every building. It's just not possible. But through the video, and I have a partner in the city, is Benjamin Smith, who's a great editor and producer of our videos. But what we can do is we can save the story. We can save the history. We can put it into historical context to its time. And it's a beautiful thing. And what you were saying there, Paul, it's awesome.
Yeah.
We have video clips already of old one-room schoolhouse teachers. And unfortunately, the people that we're interviewing are in their 90s. And, some of them are very sharp yet, Paul. But others, it's fleeting. So, there's a sense of urgency here, Paul. And I love what you did.
Yeah, well, and last week I was part of the cemetery walk. That's part of trying to bring history about Woodlawn Cemetery, anyway. And we have such a rich history around our area. There's more stories that you would file under Believe It or Not in our area than I think I've ever encountered.
They're fantastic stories, and the beauty of what we're doing, Paul, through our film work and through our website, we also reclaim old barns and buildings. We're a huge reclamation company, and that's actually, we're starting to use some of that to help fund our nonprofit. So in the future, we hope to be opening a reclaimed store for people. But the stories of our area around here, going back to the Depression era, to World War II, there's some fantastic stories I'd love to share at some other point. It'd be a great radio show about Winona's hidden history. But through our video and our interviews, you hear some great stories. We spoke with some women in Lake City that were in their almost 90s, but they were telling a story, and I'll be as brief as I can here, quick, Paul. But we take electricity for granted, Paul. I mean, the lights are on.
Yeah.
This lady was in her 90s, and she was going to a one-room schoolhouse in the 1930s before rural electrification, before the REA programs. Roosevelt put in the works programs, during the Depression. Well, anyway, their schoolhouse, they were told that they were going to get electricity. And these kids, none of them had electricity. So they were waiting in their school every day for electricity to come. Well, it never came, and it never came. Well, ultimately, what they did is NSP had it set up. So one of their reps dressed up as Santa Claus, and they went to the school at Christmas time. And he walked in and turned on the lights. That was their Christmas present. And she remembered that. But to want to have electricity, which we take for granted, Paul,
Yeah, it's everything that we have. There's I don't think you could move 6 inches without hitting something that's electrical in this room. So that's a kind of experience that I think a lot of people forgot. And there's been a lot of times when I'm also a real estate agent in town. I'll show houses to families that have a younger kid, and there'll still be like a rotary phone down the base, and they'll look and say, "What is this?"
The rotary phones are hilarious. Yeah. My oldest, I had one in my shop, and he asked me what it was. I said, "Well, it's a rotary phone. It's how you talk to people." Yeah. And he went over, and instead of trying to spin the dial, he just kept punching it. I go, "No, it's not a push button. It's a rotary. You turn it." Or the party lines, because you're from South Dakota.
Yeah.
Did you get into party lines out there?
But I remember very early on in my community, you only had to dial 4 numbers for a phone number. There was no 649 or whatever it was. There's no 10 digits.
Right. Yeah. You
7
could just
digits.
boom, boom, hit it and go. Or the party lines are always cute because when we were kids, you'd pick it up real softly to hear what the neighbor ladies were talking about. But back in my day, their neighbor ladies would talk in German on the phone to throw us. So we wouldn't know what they were saying, but we picked up the German swear words.
The important ones.
Yes, the ones you always remember, Paul.
Yeah, it was. But there's a lot of that stuff. There's people here that work in the building that didn't understand that you had to dial 1 for a long distance number on a landline. I had a call from one of our kids that has since gone on to college who used to work here, who was asking me about equipment, and I had to explain to him what a phone line is. And I mean, the basic stuff that, we kind of take for granted because, this is a phone, it's landline, it is what it is. but kind of have not being in that mindset of growing up without that stuff. It's kind of tough to understand.
It is. And Paul, things move so fast.
Yeah.
I mean, every year, we've got a new iPhone now.
Yeah.
We've got the iPhone 7. Well, what was wrong with the iPhone 6?
Yeah.
I mean, I still have, I think, the 4 or something like that. It still dials and it works. But we're getting so conditioned that you got to throw that away and get this iPhone 7. Well, I just wish we'd become a little more sustainable and just hold on to things just a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, but before we get too far into, old man yelling at rain cloud, let's talk a little bit about Heartland Preservation Society as a whole, because it seems like, you guys are in barn restoration, history preservation, but you seem like you got a lot of different facets.
We've got a lot of eggs in the basket, Paul.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing we're doing, though, right now is we're fundraising. And this whole fundraising thing, it's quite a job, Paul. I'd much rather be out, digging in a barn or talking to you about history, but we have to fundraise to reach our goals to restore the schoolhouse. And we're also building a press box for the athletic complex in Lewiston. So, we have a job to do. And part of that job is we're pushing the Chevy Silverado pickup. Lewiston Auto donated the beautiful crew cab Silverado. So, we're selling tickets for that. And the drawing is this Friday is when we have the drawing, Paul. And it's at the Lewiston Altura football game. It's at halftime. So we'll sell tickets right up to the 2-minute warning of the first half. Tickets are $100. But we're probably going to have out about 1,000 tickets. So it's a $50,000 truck, 1 in 1,000.
Not bad.
Not bad odds. You'd look really good in a Silverado, too, Paul.
Yeah.
It'd go with that hat. So.
I know, yeah, it would. So how do people get tickets?
Well, you can get tickets. You can stop in directly at Lewiston Auto. You can stop in at the Hardware Hank stores in Altura and Lewiston. They're at Pooter's Bar, Brewski's in Utica. You can go to our website, www.heartlandpreservation.org. There's contact information there. So, I'll drive to you. I'll do whatever I got to do to get a ticket. But people have been really great in the area, Paul. The support has been wonderful, and I thank everyone from the bottom of my heart.
And so the money that you're raising with the Heartland Preservation Society, where's that going?
A percentage of it will go towards the schoolhouse restoration.
Okay.
And then the other percentage will go towards the press box at the athletic complex. And the thing is, it's an ongoing fundraiser. Our nonprofit, we want to stay viable for generations. So we're going to constantly be fundraising. So this isn't the end. The press box, everything is going to require funding. What's nice about the schoolhouse, though, is it's going to be something that might cash flow. We can open it up for field trips, Paul, or day events, different things like that. So we're just starting to explore the potential of the schoolhouse and what it could provide.
So do you have your eyes on future projects?
We have quite a few things in mind that I'm just like a kid in a candy store. No, I want to save that. I want to save this. Yeah. I want to save that. There is so much to save around here, but then the reality of it comes into play and the logistics. And I have been in the construction business my whole life, so I understand that. And that's where the video preservation comes into play. And I think you're pretty keen to that. If at least we get it on video, it's out there forever then. So
yeah,
we have saved it.
At least it's saved somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's how it is now. Once it's on air or it's on video, it's out there forever, good or bad. So, I'm always constantly trying to say the right thing, Paul. So
I gave up trying that years ago.
This day and age, as we talked before, people want to go to one side or the other so fast, Paul. It'd be nice to stay down the middle for a change. And we've talked about that with our group, and that's why we're just trying to find good things and build off of that. That's just what's most important right now.
Well, I think that, or I'd like to think that there are a certain amount of universal truths that are out there. That, there's a certain amount of history that needs to be preserved, otherwise it's going to be gone. Some of the buildings that we have in our area. And here in Winona, I have butted heads with people that want to save every brick structure around. I still am very critical of the Wyndham Park Historical District, whatever that is. But history needs to be preserved, because if we don't know where we came from, how are we going to know where we're going?
Right. Or you're doomed to make the same mistakes as the past sometimes, Paul. But I agree with you 100%. Not everything can be saved, but that's the beauty of our nonprofit. We're not asking for government money. I'm not asking for anything other than what you're willing to donate, Paul. So if you don't like what we're doing, well, then you just don't donate, and then we'll find somebody that does. But I'm not going to think any differently of you, Paul. I mean, I think I still like you, So, we're going to be fine with that. So,
well, we're not done with the interview yet.
All things can change yet. So.
Yeah, who knows yet? But, it sounds like there's a lot of fantastic stuff that's going on. Again, you can go to heartlandpreservationsociety.org if you want to get one of the raffle tickets for the Chevy Silverado donated by Lewiston Auto. And that drawing is going to be at halftime of the Lewiston Altura game on Friday.
Coming right up, Paul. So somebody's going to drive away with the Chevy Silverado.
Yeah, and you can go and see videos and find about the Lewiston schoolhouse restoration.
And another thing, we do have a PayPal site on our website, and we, $5, $10, any kind of donation, it's going to go to a good thing. It's going to stay in Southeast Minnesota, and we're looking forward to working on scholarships, small business grants. So we have a grand set of ideas, Paul. We're excited about it.
Well, and especially for, the Lewiston Altura, speaking not necessarily of school district, but as municipalities. That especially Lewiston has seen some pretty big economic hits over the last few years.
Yes, it has. We're trying to build something positive for Lewiston. They've got a great new police chief up there, Scott Yeiter, great guy. Their EDA is working. They're working on some housing issues. No, Lewiston and Altura are trying desperately to get up to speed, and that's what all of Southeast Minnesota. Everybody's between Destination Mayo and this, that, and the other thing. We live in a great area, Paul. We don't know. You're from South Dakota, but I'm guessing you probably traveled around a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I lived in Minneapolis for a few years. I lived in a couple different places in Iowa. I've traveled all over the country.
So I have also. So I've seen Detroit. I've seen downtown Cleveland. And it's crazy. You sit at a coffee shop here and everybody's talking about, those kids don't, and we're all constantly complaining about something. But Paul, we don't know how good we have it here.
Yeah.
Or do you know how good we have it here?
I've said this before. Whenever I have friends or family that come into town from South Dakota, they're living out in north central South Dakota in a community that is dying. It is, there's nothing there. There's no jobs. There's no prospects for jobs. It is an economy that is slowly just withering on the vine. And they come here and they see every town has a celebration. There is stuff that goes on, and they say, I don't understand why we can't do this back home. And I say it's very simple. When you've got guys like you that instead of saying, why would you do that, you say, well, why wouldn't you do that?
Correct. And around here, Paul, too, and this is what we're fortunate, this upper Midwest, we still understand work.
Yeah.
We still have some faith in yourself, myself. So there's good things that we can build on. And then, we have the Mississippi River here. It's a great, scenic, beautiful thing. We have Mayo Clinic. And I've been a customer at Mayo Clinic many times. They put me back together many times. I have 2 artificial hips. They put me back together.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy about those guys. So.
Well, and that's such a fantastic boom for the whole area that I think that it's really a good time for places like Lewiston and Altura when you have groups like the Heartland Preservation Society that's willing to make an investment into the community. It's really primed to really see some return on investment.
Oh, I agree, Paul. There's great things ahead, and I'm very excited. I'm glad. I'm so happy to come down here and talk about it with you. I've had a great time here. I'm having fun.
Good. Yeah, you're welcome anytime, especially if you bring more donuts.
Hey, we'll bring donuts and we'll bring the history, Paul. So,
perfect.
Thank you.
It's 8:32 at AM 1230 KWNO. Mike, thanks for coming and talking with us.
I appreciate it. Have a great day, Paul.
Again, you can find more at heartlandpreservationsociety.com if you want to find out more about what they're doing, and also get some raffle tickets to that truck that's going to be given away on Friday at the Lewiston Altura football game. It's all there at heartlandpreservationsociety.org. We're going to be back in a little bit. You're in KWNO.